What's happening, people? YouTube, the world. Hello, it's me again, Courtney, doing my UFC predictions, and this time for UFC 109, Relentless, or what do you call it, Pensioners Ball, Battle of the Old Boys, But anyway, I'll get straight onto the main card, which I think will be shown on TV, or not watch, I think, which will be shown on pay-per-view. First fight on the main card, not the first fight, but you know what I mean, is Randy Couture versus Mark Coleman. Randy Couture is got a 17-10 record. He's 6'1". He's Captain America. He's everything an MMA fighter should be. Basically, this guy's got a nice girlfriend. I think he's got a good game plan. He always adjusts himself for each fight, so he's fighting. He's got a really good strategy. His last 5 fights, he's had 3 wins and 2 losses. In those losses, he's lost the belt to Brock Lesnar. So he's a former light heavyweight champ, former heavyweight champ. He's done it all. He don't need to be fighting really. He could be just like a ambassador for the sport, presenter, whatever. But he's still doing it, still fighting. His last fight was against Brandon Vera, which he won by a decision. Many people thought Vera won the fight, but I personally thought Vera won the fight, but I think I know where the judge has seen it from a wrestling aspect and keeping control. But Randy Couture's fighting Mark Coleman this time. Coleman's got a 16-9 record. He's 6'1". He's a good wrestler, the godfather of ground and pound. Fedor said that he based his style on Mark Coleman, but Fedor evolved. Mark Coleman hasn't. Mark Coleman's beat Shogun. Yes, he beat Shogun. Yes, Shogun broke his arm, but Mark Coleman initiated the takedown. So yes, he beat Shogun. In his last 5 fights, he's had 3 wins and 2 losses. In his last fight, he beat Stephen Bonner. But for me, Mark Coleman is too limited, and he hasn't evolved as a fighter at all. I still see him as the same guy who's coming in the ring with a cage and just doing the same stuff that he's done against Don Fry. But I don't, nah. But anyway, I think Randy Couture's going to win that fight, probably by ground and pound, because I think, does Mark Coleman know what guard is? I don't know. Someone tell me, please. But anyway, Randy Couture's going to win that fight. Next fight on the card is Nate Marquardt versus Chael Sonnen. I hope I said that right. Nate Marquardt's got a 29-8 and 2 record. He's 6'1". He trains out of Greg Jackson's camp. He does the stand-up, the clinch and the groundwork really good. He's got great wrestling, good stand-up, and his grappling, his submissions are good as well. He's got good cardio as well. Another as well. And he finishes fights, a lot of his fights. In his last 5 fights, he's had 4 wins and 1 loss. I think the loss came against, in the last 5, I think it's Tales Lites. But he lost that because he got points deducted, I think. But yeah, that's Nate Marquardt, and he's fighting Chael Sonnen, who's 6'1". He's got a 23-10 and 1 record. He comes out of Team Quest. Really, obviously, he's a great wrestler. But for me, he's a bit boring. In his last 5 fights, he's had 4 wins and 1 loss. The loss was against Damian Maia. The 4 wins were all decisions. So, for me, and I've watched some of his fights, they're boring, really boring. But hey, he gets the job done. He gets his wins. So fair play to him. But I don't think he's going to win this fight. I think Nate Marquardt's going to smash him. I think he's going to knock him out. If not knock him out, I think he would do him via submission. So I'm picking Nate Marquardt to win that fight. Next fight on the card is Mike Swick versus Paulo Thiago. Mike Swick has got a 14-3 record. Trains out American Kickboxing Academy. Very quick hands, very quick hands. He's known for that. He's got a decent chin, as he displayed in the Dan Hardy fight. He's a finisher. He can finish people off, but he mostly does finish people. In his last 5 fights, he's had 4 wins and 1 loss. The loss was against Hardy. But yeah, he's a good fighter. Not seen too much of his wrestling or his ground skills, to be honest, but I think he's pretty decent on the ground. I'm not sure about his clinch and his wrestling though. But he's fighting that tough mofo, Paulo Thiago, the Brazilian super cop who chases drug dealers and whatever through the favelas of Brazil. Anyone that does that needs a head scene too. But now he's decided to fight. I think he does that job part time as well. So, you know, it's part time chasing drug dealers. But yeah, he's tough as hell. Got good submissions. Got a good cardio as well. In his last 4 fights, he's had 4 wins and 1 loss. The loss was against John Fitch, who I thought would finish Paulo Thiago, but he didn't. Thiago stayed in there and, you know, got it out even though he lost. His last 5 fights, his last fight was against Jacob Voltman, who I thought he was going to finish, but he didn't, which was strange. And there's times he had Voltman rocked and he had his arms and legs twisted in all sorts of positions and he didn't finish him. But yeah, he's relatively new in the UFC. Thiago is, but he's made a big statement by knocking out Jos Koscheck, who was supposed to face on this card, but Koscheck came off because he was injured. This fight though, I'm going to pick the tough Brazilian super cop Paulo Thiago. I'm going to go for him by decision. Yeah, go for probably the underdog. The next fight on the card is Damian Maia versus Dan Miller. Damian Maia is a super Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, world champ, black belt, 6 foot, 11-1 record. Yeah, his ground game's sick. What else can I say about this guy? He trains out of Mandalay Silver's fight team in Las Vegas. The last 5 fights he's had 4 wins and 1 loss. The loss came against Nate Marquardt. When I seen that knockout, it was like Damian Maia threw a kick. Marquardt took him out the air. It's like a bird flying out the sky. It was a horrible knockout. But yeah, but his stand-up is suspect. He's really suspect. I hope he's improved between that fight and this fight. And he's fighting Dan Miller. He's got 11-2 record. Another Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but I think that black belt's slightly different. I'm not saying it's a McDonald's black belt, but you know, there's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and American Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Not American Jiu-Jitsu, American Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I'm not saying they're any different, but you know, I don't think Dan Miller's a world champion or anything in grappling, so that's what I'm trying to say. He's a former IFL middleweight champion, got decent stand-up, and his last 5 fights he had 4 wins and 1 loss, and he lost to Son by a decision. For this fight though, I think if he can keep it standing, he may have a chance, because I think his stand-up is better than Damian Maia's, but he has, in his last fight, his fight against Son, I think he had trouble stopping the takedown. So, I'm picking Damian Maia to win it if he can get it to the floor, which I think he will, somehow. But yeah, Damian Maia via submission. The next fight on the card is the other old boys, Matt Serra versus Frank Trigg. Matt Serra, 5'6", super power midget. Not really. He's got a 9-6 record. He's got KO power, as GSP felt. He's a former welterweight champion. He's fought some tough guys. I like Matt Serra. I like his attitude. He makes me laugh. He's fighting Frank Trigg, who's got a 19-7 record. He's 5'8". This guy's fought as high as middleweight and beat some good guys at middleweight. He's former Icon champ. What else can I say about this guy? He's a decent fighter. He's a good wrestler, very good wrestler. But I'm picking Matt Serra to win this fight. I don't know how, via decision, because I think he's reinvented himself. But anyway, they were my picks for UFC 109 Relentless. Check me out at thepainpalace.com. Follow me on Twitter, the same username, chokewho. Peace.